guess I had to use the bathroom. I've been in the bathroom all morning. All morning, my stomach is so upset. I guess maybe whatever little bug it is or was is trying to come out of me. But my eyes, as you can see, still keep running. As you can hear, my nose is starting to open up a bit more. Um, Crazy dehydrated. I know this coffee is probably not the best thing, but I've been drinking water all night. But still feeling dehydrated, like my throat dry, my mouth dry. Um, anyway, she said the guy told her, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna rape you." So she was thinking, "Yeah, I'm gonna be raped." You know, he duct taped her mouth, tied her up and everything. Um, Tied up her ankles, duct taped her ankles. Same thing with her friend. Her friend was like, "You okay? You okay?" It was another girl, you know. Um, so he kept going back and forth asking her for people's codes, and she said, "I don't know the code." Every time he didn't answer her question the way he wanted it to be answered, he would hit her in the head with the gun. And then she was like, "I don't know other people's codes. I don't know." So he took her phone, was going through her phone and her pictures, and there was a picture of her daughter. And he was like, "Who is this?" She was like, "That's my daughter." He was like, "When is she coming back?" She was like, "Friday." She was so grateful that her daughter wasn't there, because who knows what he would have done to her. And he said he had took off her clothes, told her to bend over. He didn't actually have sex with her, but he was using his fingers, doing stuff to her. You know, then he would leave and come back. She said you hear him shuffling around and stuff, and then he left. And she's thinking, okay, I have to try to do something that the way he tied her hands, they weren't super tight. So she was able to work free and get loose. She was able to, I think she said she grabbed a knife or whatever. She cut the things off her legs, ankles, and she went over to her friend, and she's doing the same for him. She was trying to get him untied too. But she said in the midst of trying to untie his legs, the dude walked back in the door. She said her heart just sunk. Now what I would have done, me personally, I would have put on grabbed a shirt or something, some clothes, and got out of there and went and got help. That's what I would have done. But at the same time, that means her friend, he may have killed him. She said, but when he came back and he saw her untied, in the process of trying to untie him, he said, "Oh, you done messed up now." So she just like, "I give up." She said she went and sat down, whatever he told her to do, she just did it. She said this time he had tied her so tight that her arms were numb. And she was like, "Please, can you just loosen it a little bit? It's too tight. My arms, I can't feel my hands. They're beginning to be numb." So he did. She said he did. He loosened them just a little bit. Same thing with her friend. Her friend kept asking for a cigarette. He gave it to him. She said the next thing you know, he started to pour the gasoline and stuff. She said he had grabbed her by her hair. He kept doing that, grabbed her hair. And she said he had leaned over and whispered in her ear. He laid on top of her and whispered in her ear. And he told her, I could make some good money with you. He was telling her, her privates, telling her about her private parts and this, that, and the other. I could make a lot of money off you, da 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 da. And so then he grabbed her by her head. He took the knife and he cut her throat. She said she was just numb. It's like she felt the first slit, but after that she was just numb. She thinks maybe her body just went into shock, but after that she just was numb. And what she did was, she said, I have to play dead. So once he slit her throat, she said, and she was so weak, he let her go and she just fell. And she laid there. She said, I'm just going to play dead. I'm not going to move. Nothing, no matter what he does. And so she said she could hear him rustling around the room doing stuff. She said she didn't hear her friend at this point. She don't know if he's dead or anything. And the guy kept coming over and kicking on her and this, that, and the other. He wasn't sure she was dead. She said he had lifted her up to see if he could get some sort of reaction out of her. She said no matter what he did, she didn't react. With everything in her, she played dead. In her mind, she was praying, but she just was playing dead. And she said that when she didn't respond or anything, he dropped her to the floor again, and she just, all her weight, her head hit the floor. And then he's walking around the room. He stepped on her head with all his might. She said he was 6 foot something. He was almost 300 pounds. He's a big guy. Stepped on her head, just stepped on her like she was nothing. She said she didn't react. She just didn't react. At this point, again, she was just numb. She said she felt like her skin was burning. Her face. Because of the gasoline. But she said she heard whoo. And it was fire. At this point, obviously he's not in the room. So she said it's at this point she jumped up. And she said she started to roll around and pat herself out. She said the room was pretty dark because it was engulfed. There was so much smoke. And she's trying to figure out what to do. And because she's in the basement, there was a window. But it was a little up high, so she had to pull a crate or something to stand on. And then she had to pull the board off. And as she's doing that, she's hearing something and she's thinking, it's in her head. Coming from the closet, and she realized that was her friend in the closet. And he was asking her, what's going on, you okay? And she said, the room is on fire, it's on fire. He told her, it's okay. He said, get out. Just get out. So she got out the window. She's calling and yelling for help, asking somebody to help. She said she couldn't just leave him there. So she's telling the people, it's on fire, it's on fire. And so some neighbors that was, walking by, whatever, they came and they helped her reach in. They helped get him out. All the while, her throat is slit. She's bleeding. She says she's frustrated because she's telling people the building is on fire and they just standing around like, what the hell? She's trying to make sure he was alright. She said just got to a point she started to begin to feel embarrassed because she didn't have no clothes on. She just sat on the steps and she put her hand over herself like this. The paramedics came, but when the paramedics came, she was walking her friend to the ambulance, and that's when the guy looked at her. He said, "Ma'am," he said, "hold your head back." She had her head back. He said, "You need to come with us." Because her throat was slit. She's bleeding, and like she just was in shock. She didn't. Guess she had forgotten about it. And she said, she asked the lady, can she use her phone? She had to call her dad. And she told her dad, I'm not playing. You know, she said the maintenance man just tried to kill me. He slit my throat. She told her what hospital she was being taken to. She said her mom came from Texas, came up there. They had to put her in a medical induced coma for 2 days. She was able, she kept telling him who did it. She said the janitor. Turns out the janitor had been in prison, and she said she's seen the man around many times. That's why she hadn't thought much of it. The janitor before him, she stopped seeing, so she felt, okay, maybe they got to do it. This guy was in the building multiple times. She would see him on the street, hey, how you doing? You know, they being cordial and whatnot. Never said or did anything. That made her think she had to worry. But the guy had gotten out of jail, I guess, on good behavior. He was a sex offender. He had raped and abused women, but he got out. And he did this to her. And then he ended up, a few days later, he killed another lady. She died due to blood forces to the head. He, beat her up really bad. He killed her. Raped her, killed her. And she happened to be Forbes 300 something. She was an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. She was an important white lady, as far as that's concerned, title-wise. And it was plastered all over the news, his face, the whole article, everything. There was a manhunt. Now the guy that was interviewing her was like, he said, I looked up your case, your situation. He said it was even hard to find anything about it. There was no manhunt, there was no pictures plastered, nothing. He was like, what made, yeah, my nose is bleeding a little bit. He was like, what made her situation so much more important than what happened to you? Basically, she was more important. The other lady was more important. And she said the only thing that bothers her is that it sucks that somebody else had to die before they took it serious. And she kept telling them to make this guy. She kept this, she kept that. They weren't taking anything really serious because so many crimes go on. I think she said she was in Baltimore. And she said it's sad that this lady had to die before they took it serious. I forget, she ended up helping capture him, if I'm not mistaken. I just forget how. But she said her whole family was paranoid, because here he's still running around scot free, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. And I forgot how exactly he was caught, but he was. And this time he wasn't getting out of jail. The next story was this young lady. She was from Belize originally. She had moved to America, and she had 2 boys. And she decided to take them to Belize on vacation so that they could meet their grandparents, her parents, for the first time. So she's in Belize on vacation, visiting her family, this, that, and the other. And she said that, one of her friends, a guy, was like, hey, you want to go out? This, that, and the other. They were talking, they was hanging out, they were just friends. She was like, this is my friend. They go to the club, before the club really opened up or something, before people start going in, they went for a walk, like on the beach or whatever. They just talking, and she was like, "Well, what happened? What's going on? What happened with your romantic life? What happened with what's the situation?" And he said the lady that he was dating, just previously was dating, he just broke up with her because she was being too possessive, and he too controlling and possessive, and he just had enough. And so they talked about that for a while. He had given everything back to her and so on and so forth, and just started doing things on his own. So now they see people go into the club, so they go in, they having a good time. And so he said, I have to take this call, give me a few, and he left out. And then he sent somebody else in to get her, a friend, and to ask her, was she ready to go now, or if he wanted her to come back, if she wanted him to come back and pick her up later. And she was like, while he did step out, she was talking to some friends of hers that she had known from school days, and she decided, no, I came with him, so I'm gonna leave with him, go back with him. She goes to the car. He's in the front. She's in the back. Wait, which one was it? I forget. I'm not sure why she was at the back, but anyway, or was it that she was? Yeah, it had to be that she was. If I'm not mistaken, she was in the back seat, and so her friend was driving, and she was talking to him, but now he's only answering, giving her one-word answers, and she thought that was strange. But she was like, well, maybe he just didn't want to conversate around this guy about anything. She understood that, so she didn't, question it. But then she was like, where are we going or whatever? And the guy said something about, don't worry about it. Something she said. And she looked back like, okay. Now she's really starting her senses. And so the guy was like, you can stop right here. He was like, my rider beat me right here. And as they sit there, they see this car coming toward them. And he was like, that's my ride right there. So he goes to get out the car. And as he goes to get out the car, she looks back at him. And that's how she saw his face. She looked back at him. And she said just as she was turning back around, she heard bop, bop. He had shot her in the head. And then he had shot her friend. And she said when she got shot, she fell forward. And she said she just laid there. She said she heard this ringing, this loud ringing. She said she just laid there. She didn't move. She was afraid to move. She didn't know if he was still standing there or what. She didn't hear her friend. She didn't hear anything. Just a loud ringing. As the ringing stopped, she didn't hear anything. She's like, okay, maybe they gone. She don't know. But when she fell forward, she had her phone. And so she said she began to dial her mom's number. And she was trying to be as quiet as possible. She said, but her mother didn't pick up. At this point, she said, I gotta get out of here. So she opened the door. She didn't know if they were still there or not, but she said she opened the door. She tried to run. She said she don't know what made her think she could run. As soon as she tried to run, she fell. And so she said she just started crawling herself, pulling her body. She saw a bunch of bushes and stuff, and she just went over in the bushes. She said she called her mom again. This time her mom picked up. And she said, Mom, I've been shot. She said, Juice shot me. Juice shot us. Whatever her friend is, she said, he's dead. Her mom was like, what? No, what you... They're from Belize, so her mom was... what? No, you know, they English is... The way they talk is like broken English. Why not? Some she said. But her mom was like, no, and da-da-da-da. And it just so happened where her mom lived was across from the police station. So her mom's friend went over to the police station. Told the police, she said, because people heard the shots, but nobody ever called the police. So she don't know if they still out there or whatever. She in the bushes. It started to rain really hard. She had her mom on speaker. She kept telling her mom to be quiet because she had seen like a flashlight. She didn't know if that was them looking. The guy that shot her was looking for her or what. She said she was so afraid. She told her mom, shut up, shut the F up. Because she was on speaker. She didn't want her to get off the phone, but she didn't want to get caught either. Next thing you know, she said she could hear the cops. She could see the lights and hear the sirens. And she didn't have no energy. She kept trying to yell, I'm in here. And then she said she could hear somebody say, did you hear that? Something's coming from the bushes. Anyway, they found her. She was like, please take me to the hospital, this, that, and the other. She said, we can't touch you. We have to wait on the ambulance or something. She was like, sir, please. A passerby said, y'all need to take her to the hospital. That don't make sense. And so they finally decided to take her to the hospital. She asked the police officer, can you please just hold my hand? Don't let me go to sleep, please. She said she knew that much that she shouldn't go to sleep. And she said, please help me stay awake. You know, I have kids. And she said, first they didn't want to do it. She said, but then one of the officers took her hand. He said, it'll be all right. You'll be okay. And he kept talking to her every time she got ready to fall asleep. He said, don't forget your kids. You got to stay awake. Da, 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 da. So they take her to the doctor's office. And the doctor's office is the lady that is the doctor. She lives above the clinic. So it took her a while. She was sleeping, I guess, to come to the door. She came to the door. She kept saying she wasn't shot. She was grazed. And the girl said she kept doing it. She could feel the hole. And the police officer was like, she wasn't grazed. She was something. I forget what it was, but they really didn't know what it was, if she was shot or not. And she said the lady finally looked and saw the hole and said, well, she said, we can't treat you here. They were Belize. She said she needs to go to an actual hospital. She said, I don't have the stuff to treat her for this. And so they had to, the hospital was like 2.5 hours away. They had a helicopter to the hospital. She had to wait 30 minutes for that or something anyway. When she gets to the hospital, she's laying there. They told her the hospital visit is $3,500, and that they can't touch her until she pays it. Like, are you kidding me? Somebody's been shot in the head, laying there dying, and you won't work on them unless they pay up front? And she had the money, but at this point, her phone or something was dead or whatever, so she didn't have access to get to her money. So her mom, called around and got the money together. Her mom's friend, and, they came together and they got the money for her to be seen. But they could only do so much. They needed a neurologist or a skin graft doctor or something. But anyway, she was stable, so on and so forth. And she kept telling them, Juice did. As a matter of fact, when she was in the woods, the bushes, and the cop came and was asking her what's going on, and she said, Juice shot me. And she said, when she said Juice, the cop went and got his phone and pressed in some numbers or whatever. He showed her the picture. He says, this who you talking about? She said, yeah, him. Turns out, he was the stepson of the commissioner. So they was constantly getting away with killing and hurting people. Now, as they were about to take her from that clinic to the hospital, she said the police told her, they said, hold on, wait. No, they were driving, and they were pulled over by some more police officers, and they said, we're going to escort you guys, because they were afraid that there might be a hit out on her life. So it turns out that the white lady that older white lady that her friend had just broke up with, she had gone to the guy's father's house and was asking about the girl. And the father thought, well, that's strange. Here it is, my son, who you was just dating, is dead. She wasn't crying, she had no nothing. All she was concerned about was the woman that he was with. The white lady had put a hit out on her. Long story short, she had to help the cops put this man in jail because they really weren't doing much of nothing. They couldn't find him. Couldn't find out. At one point, his girlfriend had lied and said that he had been with her all night. So she was his alibi. So how they finally caught her was she looked his name up. She typed in his name to see if maybe he's in the system somewhere. Sure enough, one match came up. He had just been arrested somewhere. And so she called that place and she said, this particular gentleman, she gave the name that you guys have arrested, is wanted for murder. He killed my friend and he shot me in the head. And the lady on the phone was like, oh my God, they transferred it to somebody else. Long story short, that's how he was arrested. He was trying to get to America. A lot of people that he's hurt or killed before, they would press charges, but there would be threat and would drop the charges. She's like, I'm not dropping nothing. Belize is my home. She said, but I would never go back. I love Belize. Anybody that knows me knows that. She said, but after this, I have no intentions of going back because it's messed up. You know, she said that the only reason why her mom answered that phone, she said the first time the call was missed because the mom's phone was on silent. She didn't even hear it ring. The reason why she answered it the second time was because on that first call that she didn't even hear ring, she said the girl said my son had woke up out his sleep screaming, which is something he's never done. He just woke up and screaming as loud as he could. That's what woke the mom up. And she went to check on her grandson. And that's when she seen that she missed the call from her daughter. And when her daughter called back, she picked it up that time. She don't want nothing but God. Prior to all this happening, she said, as she was sitting in her mom's room on the bed, and she was crying, and she was just like, what is my purpose? And, you know, I don't even know what. She said, at this point, is there really a God? You know, she had all these questions, you know, she was questioning God. She said she'll never do that again. She felt like God said, oh, you want to know if I exist? Am I really? Okay, go through this. She said she began to feel guilty at times because she survived and her friend didn't. You know, and she said this was her friend's friend. She said she just happened to be there when all this happened. You know, she said if she hadn't been there and this took place, she said dude would have went to the funeral and everything. He was supposed to be this dude's friend. Crazy. And with the one before that, the white girl, she said the same thing. She said she had been praying the whole time about what she was going through, what she was going through. She said, but what was crazy was she had tried to take her own life multiple times. Multiple times. Now here it is, you're trying to fight for your life. Gave her a whole new perspective. You know. It's just crazy. There's so many people in this world that you just have to be careful. You really do. And it's sad that it's just horrible that you have to live, that we have to live the way we live, you know. But anyway, guys, it's 7:20. I'm going to go ahead and lay down. I'm going to try to find my Vicks. Open up my nose a bit. But I am going to lay back down because I am tired. I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. Say your prayers, not just for your family, friends, and loved ones, but all your brothers and sisters in Christ. Remember to treat people the way the Lord would and expect great things. I'm expecting great things to happen to me, through me, and for me today. And I'm expecting the same thing for you. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this morning. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hello everyone. It's a beautiful rainy day today. I went through a whole roll of tissue. Just on my nose and eyes watering. Oh goodness. How is your day? How is you guys' day going? I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today. Sound like I hear somebody practicing band or something. Guys, this morning I wanted to tell y'all, but I have forgot about a dream that I had. And in this dream, I was working for this lady that I used to work for. And she had really bratty kids. And I somewhat understood the reason behind the brattiness for the first two, and then, but the youngest one, it was just so annoying. Her kids was just so annoying. There are just some kids that are annoying, and her youngest two were very annoying. And so in the dream, I'm working in the office, and the youngest kid comes in the office. I guess he's trying to get into the mom's office is right next door to mine. And I guess he tried to get in, but the door was locked. So instead of being patient, he comes in my office and he's like, I can't get in. And he's, all over the place. He was like, that's okay, I'll do it the hard way. I get up and I go and I knock on the glass window. No response. I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're in a meeting or something. And I look through the window and I see they just sitting there looking at the computer. And it dawned on me, well, I have the code. I had knocked, no response. I had the code. And in the dream, I remember 20224 and press pound. The boy had climbed out of the window of my office to walk on a ledge to the window of their office. Dumb, right? But this is something this kid would do. I truly believe it. In real life, this kid would have done that, something that dumb. And I'm like, once I woke up out of the dream, well, in the dream, once I seen them on the ledge, and they was like, what are you doing? I just was like, went on back in my office, right? I was at that point, like, if they decide to want to come to me, I'm just going to say, first of all, he's not my responsibility, nor is he my kid. Second, he knocked, I knocked. Y'all ignored the knocks. So he took it upon himself. It's your kid. He did what he did before I could even stop him from doing it. So take up your issues with your bratty ass kid. And I woke up. And yeah, in real life, this kid really is a pain in the butt. But yeah, that was the dream, and I just kept remembering 20224 or 2240, something like that. Those numbers. But I just was watching a lot of Karens and how they get what they deserve, or they're, so on and so forth. And I watched this episode where this young boy, African American, under the age of 21, and the police was called on him because he was walking outside of this man's establishment, and he was disturbing the peace or whatever. You could tell he was intoxicated. Police come, and the cops are really nice, talking to him. Hey, so we understand that we were told da 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 da. He said, personally, you don't look like you're disturbing anything or anyone. They said that you were drinking. He said, I can tell that you do have some alcohol in you. The boy was laughing. He was on the phone with somebody, and so on and so forth. And then he began to become belligerent. He began to get aggressive and mean. And he was all in the cop's face. Now, imagine you, the boy's short. The cop has to be about 6'4", 5". This boy had to be 5, 7, or 8, something like that. And he looking up at her, why you in my, why you so close? Why you so close? I mean, he was just getting loud and crazy, and they were actually trying to help him. The owner of the establishment came out, looked like he was a black guy as well. He was like, listen, he was trying to de-escalate, just, can we just take him home, They were just trying to, okay, let's take you home. He really began to act crazy. He started spitting on the cops, and what got my attention was, as they were trying to put him in the car, they had to put something on him because he was spitting on people, his voice changed. That's what caught my attention. His everything changed. He got to talking about, I'm gonna kill you. It's just the things that he was saying, and it was how he was saying it, and then the look on his face. I was like, that boy is demonic. And I know a lot of people think BS and so on and so forth, but I remember being told that, alcohol and drugs can be a gateway, right? I remember being told sometimes you see people on the street and they're just drunk out of their minds, and yet they still moving around and walking and functioning. It's not them, right? It's a gateway. You've become weak, and you've allowed your body to now be possessed or taken over or being used. And it makes sense to me. It sounds strange, but when I look at certain pictures, even the most simplest pictures, I can sometimes see the difference in it. I can see the meaning in it, or the comparison of certain things in it. And it just really, really caught my attention how quickly this boy, he just changed, and it may have been that the whole time this was the case, he just began to get irritated, and he became worse. But it really did. When I was laying there, I had to sit up. I was like, wow. I said, that's demonic. The way he began to talk to them and moving around and stuff, and twitching, and I was like, that's not normal what he's doing. That's not normal. In my opinion, that's not normal. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, y'all. I'm still pretty stopped up. I've been in bed since Friday. Actually, since Thursday night, that's when I got off work. The migraine tried to come back a couple of times, but thank you, Jesus, it did not. But my lower back, it hurts still. But I'm not hot, cold. Sometimes I get hot, but not like before. I could touch my arms and my body without feeling pain. So I don't know what that was. This morning, I've been up off and on throughout the night. This morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I was in the bathroom. Like every 15 minutes, I was in the bathroom. Like my stomach was so upset. So I believe whatever the bug I had, whatever was going on, is coming out of me now. Trying to sit up straight, but my back just, I one second. get that. I'm out of my chaps. This one gloss. I'm out of it. Trying to see if I lost 2 nails today. I mean yesterday. This is my albuterol, the medication for my nebulizer. I had ran out since I put a little water in it. It's been a while though. I'm trying to check to see. Yeah, you scared me.
You got a cash on?
I don't have one.